You are already putting me in a better mood. This is my first time here in this beautiful city, and I got to tell you, my luggage got lost on the way here. Right? Isn't that the worst? And I drove. So I'm really not that smart. Really, my brain farts smell. That's how dumb. I learned very quickly in the lockdown, pretty much within the first week of homeschooling, that I am not smarter than a fifth grader. I'm not even close to being as smart. Carter is 10 years old, and he had a quiz in math, basic single-digit multiplication. He's having a hard time. All right, I'll take the quiz for him. It's online, you know. Mom won't find out. I got 3 wrong answers out of 10. 80%. So that's not horrible, but I could be doing better. I've never been unemployed in my entire life, and then the thing happened with the thing back at the time, and so all of a sudden I'm going to be productive. I'm going to start, right? I'm going to learn. I'm going to, you know, the gyms are closed, so then you the COVID-20, and this might not be the place to talk about, but I was never a big drinker, but my wife is like, how much do you spend on a bottle of wine? And I was like, babe, no more than 15 or 20 minutes. And, she thought it was less, so I was doing better. I don't recommend it to anybody, but I would go to Costco and get like a 3-week supply of wine every 4 days, and I wound up getting cirrhosis 19. Folks, I know, sorry. I know, I'm at a dry bar. What kind of an idiot. I know, I'm an idiot. I tried to be productive. Have you noticed? Again, you got to be delicate with certain things nowadays, but I think we're all on the same page. You guys are wearing masks, because of the thing that we had. But have you noticed, like, a sneeze is the new fart, right? Someone sneezes and you're like, oh, come on! Come on! Man, my mouth was open! Come on! What's wrong with you? You ever have to just clear your throat innocently? And you're like, oh no, everyone's gonna think I have it. Sometimes people sneeze and they don't, but the idea is to not panic and to stay calm. I'm gonna tell you a story. It's happened very recently. Waiting in line in Starbucks. And this woman, let's call her Karen. One of those, okay, waiting in line, on her phone, probably taking a couple selfies, texting, very loud, not wearing a mask. She sneezes, doesn't cover her mouth. Achoo! Nobody panicked. No one freaked out. We killed her, but in a very orderly fashion. There's a few of you that are like, really? That's a little extreme. No, I didn't. But yeah, it was an interesting time, Before you judge me, let me tell you a story, okay? I know your initial reaction is going to be like, oh, but times have been tough. And I, as a gentleman over 50 years old, recently got caught shoplifting. Feel the room, I can feel the air getting, oh! Yeah, I shoplifted, okay? I was at a yard sale. And I felt that the price of this, I was trying to negotiate. There was this jigsaw puzzle, and the lady wanted 10 cents, a dime. And I only had a couple of 20s or 7 cents, a nickel and 2 pennies on my purse. I tried talking her down. She's not going to budge. I'm like, oh, come on, just take the 7 cents. So when she's not looking, I'm like, hey, I'm getting out of here. And she sees me, say, hey, where are you going with my jigsaw puzzle? And I'm like, what are you talking about? I came with it. And because she was kind of an older woman, and I was like, maybe she didn't remember it, right? And she's like, you watch your mouth. And I was like, eh. And she comes over to me, and she slapped me in the side of the head. I swear to you, she'd go, yeah, boom. Woo. Good for you. Good for this woman. That's the thing about the older generation. If you're young, you don't realize the older generation, they would hit, no questions asked. It wasn't horrible. It was called discipline. And I know a lot of people make fun of the younger generation. They're soft. Let me tell you something. If you're of a younger generation, it's not your fault at all, okay? If you raised a millennial, it's your fault for keeping them in car seats for 18 years. Making them wear helmets to brush their teeth. Giving them a trophy every time they get out of bed on time. Need discipline. I want to tell you, if you have children at home, when you go back there tonight, you wake them up, hit them. Yeah. You don't beat them, there's a big difference. You just a little discipline. Your kid mouths off, you just give them a little crack in the windpipe. You know what I mean? Get a mouth off to me anymore? No, sorry, Daddy. This woman hit me. I was not upset. I learned a very valuable lesson, and I would love to share it with each and every one of you. And if it comes in handy at some point down the road, wonderful, okay? And this is true. When fighting the elderly, go for the hip. Oh, yeah! I took her out, nobody's business. I've fallen and I can't get up. No, stay there. Sometimes when you're laughing real hard, I can actually see your mask puff out. So that's kind of sounds like you're blowing a face bubble. This is the new normal, baby. This is the new normal. I will tell you, I watched a lot, binge watch, Netflix, Amazon. YouTube, I learned. Only go to YouTube if you have a couple of days to kill. Because once you go down that rabbit hole, I don't understand the YouTube algorithm, right? Like with Amazon, they kind of tell you, and it makes sense, hey, people who bought binoculars also bought a telescope or a tripod. It all makes sense. YouTube, I start off watching a video of Aerosmith doing an acoustic version of Jaded. 14 hours later, I finish a documentary about how this planet was originally inhabited by a group of people called the Anunnaki from the planet Nibiru, and now our world leaders are reptilians who met at the Bohemian Grove Society, and somehow it makes sense. I'm like, yes! Why didn't I always know that? I'm so naive and gullible, I believe every conspiracy theory that I saw on YouTube. JFK, definitely second gunman. Mikey from Life's Sierra. Do you guys know, does anyone in this room know? We faked the moon landing. We faked it. You know how I know this? Because the world is flat. Hello? No. We landed on the moon. Okay. I'm one of those guys, during lockdown, I bought a telescope, downloaded a stargazing app. I became such a sky nerd. And I learned this, I don't know if any of you knew, our 7th planet from the sun is actually pronounced Uranus. Yeah. I know, everyone thought, yeah, right? It's Uranus from the Greek god of urine. So it's more of a number 1 joke than a number 2. Number 2 joke, really. No, we landed on the moon. Anyone thinks otherwise, man, that would be too hard of a conspiracy to cover up. I have studied in great detail. I literally know down to the minutest of minutia about the moon landing, okay? July 20th, 1969. Neil Armstrong, Buzz something, and another guy who didn't leave the capsule, went up there. Neil Armstrong, as we all probably remember, said the immortal words, "One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind." Here's a great piece of trivia for you. Neil Armstrong made that up himself. That was not pre-planned. That was not written for him by some rocket scientist down at NASA. He just winged it. As we would say in my profession, he just riffed it. Now, think about what a profound, prolific statement that is. Neil Armstrong is on the moon representing the United States of America. The first guy to plant the MTV flag. And after he said, "I want my MTV," he said once, no. But he did one small step for man, one giant. That's profound. I would be nervous. I'm from Boston. I'd be like, "Houston, this is wicked pissa. Oh, could I just shout out to my ex who never thought I'd amount to nothing? I could see a trailer park from up here, sweetheart. What do you think of me now?" It's interesting. You know, the older you get, the smarter you get, but the dumber you wind up getting. Right? Does that make sense at all? When you're young, you know everything, but you're dumb. I can't figure things out, and I should. We live in a country where you can own as many semi-automatic weapons as you want, and that's your constitutional right, mind you. Huh? Yeah, but ask for a straw, you know. Now you're a villain, okay? Guns are all right, a straw. What is wrong with you? Don't you care about the environment? You're killing sea turtles. Wait, I'm killing sea? Well, I don't even know what you're talking about. I can't keep up with everything, you know? They have found turtles with the straws. How do you know they weren't doing coke? My buddy Pookie died of a cocaine overdose. No one blamed the straw, all right? Just saying, before you judge, wait to get the autopsy result back on Tippy the turtle. I don't know. I thought I knew it all. I don't know. I grew up in a very, very religious family. And so much so that when Halloween would come around as a kid, I was not allowed to dress up in a secular costume. No, I had to be a biblical character. And never one of the good ones, because I was too sacrilegious. I always had to be some obscure and kind of get the word out. You know how embarrassing that is to be 7 when you don't even know enough about your own surrounding and you're trick-or-treating with your friends and you ring the doorbell and they're like, "Hey, there's Spider-Man and there's Batman," and they look at me and you're wearing like a toga and like saying, "Wait, I'm Joseph of Arimathea?" Yeah, remember when they put the Savior in the tomb? Joseph is the guy who owned the tomb. Smaller character, yet very important in the new. But it was better for me to be out trick-or-treating on the street than back home. I love my mother, love her. You guys would love her. Hopefully you get to meet her. I actually keep her ashes. No, I did. Right by my bed. She's not dead. No, just smokes. And figure if I had the ashtray. No, my mom. My mom would dress up like the Virgin Mary, and she wouldn't give out Snickers bars. She'd give communion. I hope I didn't offend anybody. You never know anymore what is offensive and what isn't, right? And it's generally the younger generation that is the woke generation. And I don't know if there's a newsletter, but I don't know how, there's probably a word that's safe today, a month from now, will somehow be on the no-fly list. I don't know what that word is. But I do know that I've had some younger folk tell me, oh, you need to be woke. What if woke is offensive? How could that offend anyone? As a narcoleptic. We have suffered sudden sleep and silence for far too long. I'm sick of you throwing the word woke around. We're going to beat this. We shall over... You just don't know what is offensive anymore. I understand being nice and respecting people, but I don't know. I met this gal not very long ago who had just gotten out of a marriage and trying to lend a shoulder to lend some condolence. I said, I understand it could be very difficult to be a divorcee. Oh, you did not just call me a divorcee. Yeah, technically you're no longer, oh my, that's so rude and demeaning. You don't call somebody you just met a divorcee. What do you think before you open your mouth, divorcee? Certified pre-owned? Is that better? Slightly used, price to sell, low miles. New car smell, little rear damage. I don't know. Show me the Carfax, Karen. It's just impossible to tell what offends people. I'll get in some interesting conversations with Chelsea. You don't know her, but she likes to ask me hypothetical questions all the time. Never anything practical. Never anything that would make sense in a random, out-of-the-blue conversation, Like, hey, is the life insurance up to date? Yeah, babe, why? Well, you never know. Might be planning a trip. She hates me. I would get that. Chelsea comes up with these scenarios that in a million years would never, would you love me if I lost my legs bungee jumping? Whoa, first of all, you're afraid of heights. You're never going to bungee jump, That's why it's a hypothetical question. I'm like, do you want to put that out there in the universe? Well, in general, would you love me if I lost my leg? Honey, I just, how far up? Above the knee, below? You said both, kid. Is the wheelbarrow out of the question? One day out of the clear blue, she goes, would you love me if I got Alzheimer's? Like you'd remember. She was 32 years old at the time, and I said, sweetheart, you're so young, okay? And millions of people suffer from this affliction. Why do you want to put that out there in the universe? Stop doing that. I want to see what type of guy you are if we grow old together. So I have to come up with a good answer, quick, right? I'm wicked smart from Boston, remember? I got it. I look her right in her good eye. Pumpkin, I love you no matter what. Really? Yeah, no matter what. Now, guys, shouldn't that cover everything? You would think that would be an airtight answer. I can see a couple women looking at their men. No, women are too smart. You're way too smart. You love me no matter what? Yeah. You'd love me if I gained 100 pounds? 100? They're like 20, 30. Who gains 100? Couldn't you just get the Alzheimer's? You forget to eat so much. And That was a month on the couch. I will just never learn. Love my parents. My father is very disappointed that I became a comedian, more so than some of you. Oh, he wanted me to go into the family business, which was collecting workman's comp, but low threshold for pain, that's all. Last name is D'Elia. It's an Italian word. It means hobbit. Sorry, angry hobbit. No, third generation Italian. Last name D'Elia is spelled D''Elia. Now, the reason I spell it out for you is if you know anyone Italian or Irish, that little apostrophe does nothing but cause problems. Name always gets mispronounced, misspelled, but the worst ever, couldn't possibly make this up. Strike me dead if I'm exaggerating. When I first moved to California, the phone company spelled out the word apostrophe right in the middle of my last name. D-A-P-O-S-T-R-O-P-H-E-L-I-A, d'apostrophelia. I think we've established over the last 25 minutes, I'm not funny enough to make that up. That happened. D'apostrophelia. Sounds like a disease. Did you guys hear about Rick? What happened? No, what happened? D'apostrophelia. Had to go around door to door. I'm your neighbor. By law, I gotta tell you I'm a d'apostrophelia. I had some trouble with punctuation. Slipped into a comma. They had to perform a semi-colonoscopy on me. Wound up missing my period, you know how that goes. You don't even want to see my dangling participle. You guys are wonderful. Thank you so much. It was an honor. Stay healthy. Hey, so before we start, what I was thinking, I'd like to create a feel of one of those Sarah McLachlan infomercials with the animals, so we could play some kind of music, have some images of some animals. We can do that type of thing?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, just let me know when we're rolling.
Oh, we've been rolling.
Oh, okay. Hi there, I'm Rick D'Elia, and first of all, let me thank you for spending the time to watch my special. I know your time is very valuable, as is your money. I feel weird asking for a tip, but it's not for me. At the end of the day, what I'm going to do is every penny you decide to tip, I'm going to spend every waking moment thinking about doing something for kittens and puppies. They all need our support. They need our love, but they also could use some financial support. So with your money, I'm going to think about starting an additional Kickstarter or a GoFundMe to raise money for maybe more shelters. I'm going to think about people I know who might want to adopt a cat. I'm going to put a lot of thought into it with your hard-earned dollars, because at the end of the day, it's the thought that counts, isn't it? At this point, I think I want to thank you. So make sure you do the sad piano music.
Absolutely.
People eat that garbage up, so that's great. All right, hey, you guys have been cool. See ya. Thanks.